Hello, welcome to All For United WFC. Hello, welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. This is our last match reaction show of the season. Chelsea 4, Man United 2. I don't know how I felt after that game, to be honest. We're going to get into it. Let's say hello to everybody first. Charlie, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Pleased to be here.
Awesome, thank you. No, thank you for joining us. Andrew, you okay, mate?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on.
Nice one. Busy week for you as well, with the men's team and the youth team as well. So I'm sure you're going to be tired, just as tired as we all are after early mornings. Yeah. Ellie, I know that you've said that you're tired. You've been up mega early for the past 2 days. But how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. Thank you for having me on again. It was literally really quick today. I was like, can I come on tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And just because the season's over doesn't mean that the channel's over at all. We're still going to be sticking as close to 4 or 5, 6 hours a week as much as we can over the summer. You know, we've done it during COVID, we've done it during last summer. So there's always content we can put out. So if you are watching this, then obviously stay tuned over the summer as well. Barry, thank you for joining us, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. I'm wearing a shirt that I haven't worn probably in about 20 years. So it doesn't fit. So we'll see. It's like a corset. So we'll see how we get on.
The shirt's got
if I have to move off at half time, it'll be to get changed because I can't breathe anymore. So if I go blue, just call the police, yeah?
I'm guessing it's the shirt that's got smaller over the 20 years, hasn't it? The shirt stuck.
I wish it was, mate. I wish it was.
Thank you to everybody in the comments. I'm going to put them on screen. You got so many already, even before the show, which is great. Obviously, we'll get into those as well. I suppose before we actually get into the game, I suppose I'm just going to ask a very simple question, and that's just, how's everyone feeling after that final game? You know, you can relate your feelings to the actual game. You can relate it to the season. You can relate it to how tired you are after being up early. But how's everyone feeling? So, Charlie, start off with yourself, mate.
Really good, actually. Obviously, it's been a season of lots of highs and a little bit of disappointment, but it's been absolutely worth it. Yeah. I think that was all summed up in the game we had yesterday. Absolute highs of the first half, and then a more disappointing second half. But I think I tweeted about how it was that first half for me made it worth it, just like the highs we've had of this season. So Arsenal Conti Cup, our brilliant form at home. Yeah. Just makes it worth it for me, and the crowd and the people that you meet. It's been brilliant, and I wouldn't change anything about it from a football spectator point of view. Wish we'd got third, but we didn't. And in hindsight, probably a decent finish to the season if you think about where we were at the start of the season. A lot of uncertainty. So yeah, really positive for me. Really positive season.
You want to jump in, Andrew? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it's a season of progress for United. Yes, it would have been nice to have third and Champions League qualification, but I mean, from where we started the season to the end, I mean, we pushed City all the way to the final day for that third spot. Okay, we were relying on Reading to do us a favour, but it wasn't to be. But I mean, yeah, I mean, over the course of the season, it's probably just a bit small margins that have caught us out. Maybe if we turn some of those draws into wins, we might have just pipped City to the that last position. But I think going into the summer, you can see how Skinner's now going to mould the squad into his vision, and hopefully go again next season and pursue that top 3 spot and get Champions League again for the following season.
Yeah, Barry, are you very similar to Charlie and Andrew?
Oh, well, I went through a gauntlet of feelings, I think, is the honest answer. But isn't that why we love football? Isn't that why we do it? If you just went there and all the emotions were just the same thing all the time, what would be the point? I might as well take up knitting, which you can also do at the football, I've found out. So, I think I will never get over that, boys and girls, never in a million years. But I feel strangely content. Actually, I do feel content because I think I said on the show on Friday I just don't want us to be in a position where we throw it away or we do something silly. And I don't think we did. We had a really good first half. In the second half, Chelsea were always going to come out. They were always going to try a bit harder and do a bit more. So I think we kind of expected that. I think we matched them. We challenged them. I think Chelsea said, or Emma Hayes said, that they weren't themselves first half, and I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that they just didn't expect us to come out and perform in the way that we did, and that shocked them. And to get the early goal, as we've said all season, really matters. So, yeah, I think taking all those things into account, I'm proud of the girls. I'm proud of what we've done, and yeah, I feel good and ready for next year, for sure.
Yeah. Elle, how you feel after the game, mate?
Well, I can honestly say what a season it's been. Like, I only came halfway through the season, but it just feels like forever, because now I'm gradually knowing so much about the team and the players. It just feels like I've been here forever. So I think on all this season's been brilliant. I think deep down I knew I was going to get 4 after yesterday. But I can honestly say that first half, we came straight out. We really did.
Yeah.
And then them 2 goals were outstanding. You could just feel it in the crowd after we scored them goals. Because it was like, oh yeah, we might actually have a chance of winning. But then Chelsea came right back at the second half. So, for me, done a really good job this season, I think. Mm-hmm. So, we'll be back next season stronger than ever, I think.
Well, that's something we can get into as well. And in fact, we can maybe start the show on that as well. Connor, loving your shirt, Barry. We actually done a show the other night on the...
I haven't got the collar up.
Cantona. Yeah, actually did a show the other night on shirts. That was an interesting one on the main account. Yeah, I'll just read the comments. I'm listening to what you guys are saying as well. Lots to get into. If I could just maybe just summarise it as well, I think the fact that we've pushed City to 21 games out of 22, I think was a real big achievement. Did we overachieve? Did we underachieve? I think if City hadn't got all their injuries, it might have been a different story. But that's neither here or there. I think the fact that everyone comes up against an obstacle or two throughout the season. We had obstacles and we managed to get hang straight in there. And at one point, it was looking quite decent for us. Even up until yesterday, we were looking to end the season on a high. I put the thumbnail as a game of 2 halves. We've got Sporty Chatterbox in the comments saying it's a stereotypical game of 2 halves, and it really was. And that's what I put on the thumbnail. So let's make a bit of a conversation about that then. The first half, we started really, really well. I had no idea what to expect in this game. I think driving to London with Andrew and Connor, I was saying I'd rather keep it quite tight as opposed to go toe-to-toe because I didn't think we'd be good enough to go toe-to-toe, and I thought we might get ripped apart a little bit like maybe the start of the season. I'd rather keep it tight and just keep ourselves in it. And it looked anything but that. Man United saw a bit of a weak area, and they really gave it to Chelsea. Second half, Chelsea kind of done something, adapted, changed things around, as we knew that they would. We couldn't adapt quick enough. I guess we couldn't make a change, and Chelsea just went on to be the better team over the 2 halves. But Charlie, just started off for yourself, game of 2 halves. What were your thoughts on that?
I thought the first half was some of the best football that we've played, to be honest. When you put into perspective who it was against, I think I might have even turned to Barry at the end of the first half and said, we've got them on toast here, which might have jinxed it a little bit. I think we just played to our strengths. Delivered the ball. I think Chelsea really struggled. Their backline and their goalkeeper really struggled with any deliveries into the box from us in the first half. And obviously, that's where our goals came from. The goalkeeper was really flappy, and it might have been down to nerves for them. But we were really good. I think we defended really well in the first half as well. Apart from their goal, Mary didn't have much to do really. Well, unfortunately, all she did all game was take the ball out the back of the net, which was a shame for her. But then the second half, I think the thing that changed it for me was the changes they made in personnel. I think our midfield, I think Jackie and Katie in particular were just shutting up shop in the midfield. Chelsea couldn't get through, and I think they took Ingle off and I can't remember who else it was, but they brought on Beth England and G, who just, we couldn't then cope with that. We just couldn't cope with the interchange in play and how creative they were. It was Anderson they took off. And in that second half again, like, they brought Jessie Fleming on, who captains Canada, like they just won the Olympics. So you look at that, and that's, I think part of that is what did for us in the second half, is the people they could bring on and the fact that they could just turn it up 3 or 4 gears, and we just couldn't cope with it in the end. It was good that we did for 45 minutes. It showed, like Barry said before, we're not far off, and that first 45 minutes showed it for me. But then we just couldn't stick with them. When they stepped up a gear, when they made the right changes at the right time, we couldn't compete. And like I said, that's what it did for us. We can't bring on experienced players who've won all sorts and been there, done that, and they can. And they've got Sam Kerr, who's ridiculous, isn't she? Like, she changes the game instantly. Yeah. She picks that ball up and she scores, and then does so again like 4 or 5 minutes later. I would say a little bit. I'd say, obviously they played brilliantly, but I think a few of their goals were probably avoidable. They were unnecessary. And I said that at the time. I didn't know if it was an emotional response, which it might have been a bit. But then I went back and watched them, and I think they were. I think their first goal was unnecessary. We just literally, the parting of the red wave, literally, wasn't it? Yeah. Just to let Erin Cuthbert through and just absolutely leather it. And then it was individual error. I think, was it for Sam Kerr's first or second? I can't remember. Just a bit of poor decision making at the back. But again, we've talked about that a lot, and I think Mark Skinner was sort of hinting at that and saying the drop in the standards and the mistakes we're making aren't good enough now. That's something they're going to work on. But yeah, all in all good, but we just couldn't cope with them second half, unfortunately, when they made the changes.
Yeah, I just want to, Marty's comment was on screen as you finished talking, so I'll just jump onto Marty's comment. You know, why weren't the players prepared? I mean, I think there's one thing about being prepared, but if you're just not generally good enough, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but we are against the champions at Kingsmeadow, who had to go for the win because they wanted the title. You know, I think maybe we were prepared, but there's one thing about being prepared, there's another thing about being good enough, and maybe we just couldn't stop them. We just weren't quite at that level just yet. So maybe that's it. We've got Lanza in the comments. Lanza, we met for the first time on Sunday. Very nice to meet you, Lanza. We stood next to you, and it's great. I mean, this channel's brought so many people together over the past 18 months, and you know, I'm sure Lanza will be at the games again going forward. So thank you for introducing yourself and coming over. It was great to see you. Andy, your thoughts on the caption in the thumbnail?
Yeah, so United were definitely, I say, the better team first half. It was dominating possession, and from a neutral fan was watching, you'd be thinking, well, who's going for the title? It was like the way United were playing, we were the ones fighting for the title. But I'd say dominant in possession, and then the free kick by Zelen fired into the box, and then Martha Thomas would just with the header just to give us the lead. I thought it's on here. I'm thinking. And then I was thinking like Reading, Man City. I was thinking, could they do us a favour? And then obviously Chelsea came back into it. We failed to deliver. Well, failed to not stop. Cuthbert getting a shot on goal. So from that throw in, but what I liked from United was they didn't get disheartened by that equaliser that Chelsea scored. Like Russo then went close with a header as well, and then obviously then Leah Galton then with that brilliant cross in for Ella Toon, and what a strike from Ella Toon as well. I mean, I did watch the highlights again, and they said, "Oh, Leah Galton was offside." I was like, "Well, I'm glad it wasn't." So deservedly took the lead back, and then by half time, the Chelsea fans were like as quiet as anything. But then, Emma Hayes made the changes, and then which I knew it was going to happen. They were going to come out and be attacking quicker and trying to, which I don't know. Skinner probably would have told the players that, look, these are going to come out at us and try and push for the equaliser and even the winning goals. And I just thought, we was just trying to be too compact and just hold it and then try and nick the third so we could kill Chelsea as momentum in the game. But I just think, especially, second goal, the defence just, I don't think they just got caught out. And then I think on the third one, I think it was G just played the ball through and just split the midfield and defence apart. And then it was like we're just all scrambling to get back. And then on the fourth one, well, obviously Mary made a bit of a mistake, kicking it out and landed to the Chelsea player, and I was like, she's so far over, and then just couldn't. I don't think she realised how quickly she had to get back, and then I think I mean, we did have that moment where Jackie could have scored. I think that would have made it 3-3, and I thought if that had gone in,
yeah. Oh, that was a great shot.
I think we would literally have all been on the pitch.
Yeah,
that had been her first goal for us, but when that fourth goal went in for Chelsea, I just think it just killed anything that we, us getting back into it. But I just think. I say congratulations to Chelsea, and I say it's been one of the most competitive seasons in the WSL. So I think next season's going to be even right. The bar's going to be raised even more, and hopefully, we're inside the top three, or maybe even challenging for the title as well. So, as Mark Skinner said afterwards, the fire has been lit. So
yeah,
let's make it a big fire.
I've got those quotes in front of me, and I can probably read them out in a bit as well. Karen Carney was saying that she's thinks the City will win it next year as well, so she's making predictions. We've got Josh in the comments for the first time. Josh is getting into his women's football. He lives by me and Andrew, and Josh, stay tuned until the very end of the show where I'm going to shout out somebody else at the end of the channel as well. At the end of the show, sorry. Barry, why was it so different then, in that first half? Because it was an amazing first half. I thought to myself, I actually genuinely thought we was going to do it. I thought maybe, Arsenal will win, and okay, we probably still wouldn't qualify for Champions League, but, I genuinely thought that, think about it, this is really good, something could really happen. But we always knew, like, in the back of our heads that, okay, at any moment, Chelsea could turn it on, which is what they did do, but why do you think there was such a difference in that first half and second half?
Well, again, it comes down to, as we've said all season now, fine margins all the way through. I remember turning to Charlie and saying, you know what, I don't actually care so much whether we get third or not, because after the Villa game, I pretty much resigned myself to the fact that City were going to do it. And again, you've got to credit City. You look at what they've done. The end of the season table looks far harsher on us than it should be. We're 5 points away from City and 15 goals behind. When you consider that Aston Villa game, we were 1 point ahead of them and 3 goals ahead. So that's how much changed in those 4 games. And that was why we spent so long debating, how we needed to score more goals and how we needed to be more clinical in front of goal. So for me, it was all about just beating Chelsea. I just wanted to beat Chelsea. That's literally all I wanted to do, because that was really the only mountain that was left to climb at that. You had to rely on other people, and they weren't able to do it for us. Reading were about as useless as chocolate fire guard, to be honest with you. So they were no good to us. So we knew that was never going to be something that we cared about. I just want to take a second to say congratulations to Mr. Sang in our comments. I know he likes to pop along, but well done. It would be impossible to say that the better team didn't win over the course of the season. So well done to you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Because you're certainly not going to be winning the English Premier League anytime soon, much like ourselves. So that's that one. Let's take a look at the match. What did we think? Do you know what? The first goal, I didn't even see who scored it to begin with. Zelem with a superb free kick. It's only through the replays that I've seen it. I didn't have a clue. I was bouncing up and down. I think I hugged about 7 different strangers. And Ellie, who's, of course, is not a stranger. And it was brilliant. Loved it. The problem was we knew that Chelsea could come back. And I've watched all the goals back again numerous times just to ensure that, as ever, I'm factually correct whilst I'm on the show. I don't like to spread misinformation. And the first person, if you're going to label blame for that, I think Russo was on her. Russo was the one who was keeping her eye on Cuthbert. She wasn't quite, she was just behind her. When the corner came in, Russo goes to go for the ball, stops because she rightly thinks to herself, hold on a second, there's 3 defenders there. One of those is going to get it. Cuthbert slipped straight in between them. And then that was it. 1-1. And that's what I'm talking about with fine margins. That one little thing, in one little bit of space, and there's 4 people there who could have dealt with the ball, didn't. But that happens, all right, 1-1, fair enough. Then we go on to score a fantastic second goal, something we didn't expect to do. Ordinarily, if we do something like that and we score a goal, we then start to look at, well, it's probably going to be 6-1 to Chelsea and this is it now. We didn't do that. We immediately turned ourselves back on. We carried on. Yes, we were a bit lucky because Dalton was offside, but we get a ball, gets crossed in. Again, didn't see what happened because I couldn't really see through people's heads. It's something they really need to work on. They could have done with bigger steps, but there we go. And then a brilliant shot from Tooney. It was amazing. And we really had them rocking at that point. We really did.
Yeah.
What a first half. It was unbelievable. To a woman, they performed better than I've seen us play all season. That was by far the best first half. And I don't think that was just down to emotion. But I distinctly remember turning to Charlie again and saying two things that I was worried about. First thing was the fact that Arsenal were drawing. So they knew they had to go out there. But also we knew that City were winning. So I was worried, you're welcome, Sam. I was worried that they would find out the score for City and then think to themselves, well, why we don't need to go back as hard as we did in the first half. Because in the first half, we knew what we were fighting for. Now that we know that Reading weren't going to come back, were they going to basically fall asleep? That was my first one. My second worry was that we needed to hold on a bit better than we did. 50 seconds, that's all we lasted. Now, this isn't sour grapes. I do still think there was a foul on Russo in the build-up. I called it way before it got down to the right-hand side and the ball came in. I think we have to accept the fact that referee was, what's the polite word I would use for that? Diabolical. I think the consistency was pathetic. When you've got a player that's fallen over their own feet and they give you a yellow card, and then the exact same challenge happens down the other end and it's not, you just can't have that sort of level of refereeing at this level. So I did think it was a free kick, but you have to play to the whistle. That's what you're always taught. And when the ball comes down the right-hand side, the ball's crossed through, goes straight through two defenders. That's your first problem. And then when it is cleared, it ends up to Kerr, and there wasn't too much you could do with that. It was a brilliant finish. You have to doff your cap there. So even at 2-2, you think, all right, then, well, let's just settle again, hold on. I'd have taken 2-2. I'd have been quite happy. That would have been, for me, a progression. And then we go and do what we did against Arsenal. Just a simple through ball, cuts everybody out of the game. 3-2. We couldn't have made it any easier for them. It's those little things that we've done time and time again. And it was almost like a catalogue of things that we have done in those games that we drew. But we still didn't give up because it was at 3-2 that Jackie Gronin hits the bar. What a goal that would have been, by the way, had that gone in. Just rattles like the corner of crossbar and post. That goes in, it's 3-3. Who knows where we would have been. As it was, we ended up with what can only be described as, and I've written it down as, a Kerr worldie, because it was. There was nothing anyone could have done about that. Maria tried to clear the ball when the attacker's straight on her. She's cleared the ball. She's done exactly what she's supposed to do. The ball's landed at Kerr's feet. She's just turned around. In her own admission, didn't know where the goalie was, just went for where she thought the goal was. And in it went. Of course it did. It's Sam Kerr. Everything she touches turns to gold. Mm-hmm. So, there wasn't a huge amount we could have done about that. I think looking at it that way, it's just simple mistakes. But what I like is reading what Jamie Spencer put out, which was we were unbeaten against every team below third and fourth because we can't play ourselves. So every team below us, we didn't lose to. Yes, we had some terrible draws, but we didn't lose to them. The only teams that were able to beat us were Arsenal, Chelsea and Man City, which, again, just points out where we are. We're a fourth-place team, and we knew we were a fourth-place team for a while. We can't really count the last couple of years because COVID's been far too ingrained in what we're doing. So for me, this is the first season really where we can sit there and say we finished the WSL season, and this is where we are, and now we build on.
Yeah, if I could just jump on that as well, I thoroughly agree. I have been saying it on here and on Twitter as well. I don't think we've had enough credit. The 8 teams that we have lost against are a team in the top 3, and people might not think much of that. But when you compare it to our first season in the WSL and our second season in the WSL, we were losing against teams below us. Easy as that. So we have managed to go from losses to draws, but unfortunately, when you want to break into the top 3, 6 draws isn't quite good enough, is it? You need to be getting 3 or 4 and turning a couple of those into wins. But it's absolutely a great achievement to say that we went through the whole season and not, made that amount of mistakes where we've ended up losing games. We've seen Chelsea lose games outside the top four, Arsenal do it. We have seen that City at the start of the season as well. So, there are lots of pluses we could take out of that where we've actually done better than some of the teams above us. And that's obviously the case, or else it wouldn't have gone down to the final couple of games of the season. Ellie, I'll just finish up with you on this topic. The first half was really good. Second half, obviously, we let it slip from us. But would you say maybe this time next season, or even just next season in general, we'll actually be able to be in a position where we can actually hold on to these leads against the top teams?
Yeah, of course we will. Like the way we did that first half yesterday, like you've all said, it was the best we've ever played all season. I reckon it really was, because we held on, we kept fighting when they came to try and put it in the back of the net. So I thought first half we did really well at that and defended. But another thing as well, like I said, even though we lost, it felt like we won because of like the crowd, the atmosphere. I can say that it really did. So the second half, we all knew though, didn't we, really, that they come out second half.
Yeah.
Back on top form. And then just silly mistakes like you said, like Mary. I know, and Babby said obviously she didn't really know who she was passing it to. And then that was it. Sam Kerr, that's it. She just booted it and went straight in the back of the net. And maybe Mary was a bit gutted about that as well, I thought. Because it landed straight in the back of the net. And then obviously Jackie nearly scored for us. So that could have been 3-3. And I really did think it was going to be 3-3. But I mean, this loss now at the end of the season, I think it just brings us back stronger next year. And next year I think we will get a Champions League spot. We're just growing and growing now, aren't we? So that's all I think.
I'll tell you what, I am really glad that that first half happened, because obviously you get disappointed because you build your hopes up even more that we're gonna win like the champions at Kings Meadow, and we're gonna knock them off, and maybe Arsenal will win them. That's what I was thinking throughout that first half. I was already thinking about the thumbnail of this match reaction show when we was winning 2-1 at half time. I'm thinking, what should I put out? What should I tweet out? All this kind of stuff. And it is disappointing, obviously, where you get so close. But I would much rather go out like that than 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down, 4-0 down, because at least we actually had that belief there in that first half. And even halfway through the second half, we could see it kind of slipping away from us because we only created probably 2 or 3 chances in that second half. But yeah, I did enjoy the game. I did enjoy having to watch Chelsea celebrate at the end.
But can I just say, we were far better than better fans yesterday, because at the end of the game, all of us round each other, we was like, why they all going, all the fans? Are they not staying watching them lift the cup or something? They literally all went. I thought, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I thought, what are you doing? And then obviously I love the banter that we had between us as well, because we had our section, they had theirs. That was it. We was off singing, chanting to them and everything.
No, it was a great experience. Obviously, we always knew going down that it was going to be, that could have potentially happened. We knew that we might have to watch them lift the cup. We knew that, but obviously, you always have that bit of hope.
Massive respect though to United. They stayed out right until the very end.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, watching them lift the cup and everything.
Yeah, I bet they didn't want that. I think that was a decision maybe made by the coaching staff. I think it's been made out to be all really good for them to do a guard of honour for Chelsea. I don't think that's what that was at all. That wasn't what that was. If you look how they were stood together, they weren't applauding. They had their arms around each other and they were watching this as if to say, look at this. Yeah. This is what we're missing out on at the moment. Yeah. I think I was stood with you by then, John, and literally as soon as they lifted that trophy, 2 or 3 of them just turned their backs on it because they didn't want to experience watching someone else lift that trophy in front of them as well. So I think that was all about a learning curve, because as soon as they lifted it, they were off inside. They weren't hanging around to watch the celebrations. I think that was all. I think when Mark talks about the fire's been lit now, that was it. Because there's pictures of them. There's pictures of our players head on. They weren't pleased about that. They weren't happy for their mates, and they are mates with some of them on international duty. They weren't pleased for them yesterday. They don't want to be in that position again. I think that's what that was.
Yeah.
And Mark actually said that, didn't he? Mark actually said, you know, they need to see that because that's what lights the fire. They need it to burn. So, no, it's definitely not a guard of honor. I mean, we're nice. We're not that nice.
No, I agree. Well, you mentioned the quotes there. I'll read a couple of quotes there. So I'm just going to go from it's on the Twitter page. I'm just going to go for the quotes that Skinner and Katie Zellum both said. So I think Skinner's quote was obviously on Twitter first. If you didn't hear any of the interview, he said the fire has been lit. We will work tirelessly until we have nothing left to achieve success. We're going to give everything. And the captain Zellum said, we left everything out on the pitch. I'm so proud of the girls. You can see where we're a team to be reckoned with. I mean, if you just want to have a say on that before we move on to back onto the game, you know, do you kind of agree with those comments? You know, had the fire being lit? Did we leave everything out on the pitch? I do. I think it's, you know, when it's your first season, and I'm talking about Skinner here. It's your first season. He spent this season. I was going to say brainwashing, but more of getting a new culture into the team and whatever his way of doing things is. When you spend all season doing that, and it's obviously going to be tough, you've come up against a lot of obstacles and still finish fourth, he must be thinking to himself now, we've had such a tough season going from where we was to where we are now, and we've still managed to come fourth and give a good account of ourselves. Surely now Skinner's thinking to himself, right, with 3 or 4 more players, I feel comfortable about taking this team from 4th to 3rd. Charlie, do you want to jump in first on that?
Yeah, I think they both did really good post-match interviews. I thought they were good. I thought they were positive without being sort of insipid and we're really happy with how it's gone. I think they were right. I think we've always said the players worked hard. They did leave everything out there. They couldn't have done anything more. They were just beaten by a better side that's full of world-class players. An interesting thing, I was really pleased when he said, we're going to give everything. We're going to win something with this team, because that's what Man United is built around. It's about being successful and winning trophies. And he was also really crystal clear, though, about we need to recruit. We have to recruit players to compete. And that's the most crystal clear he's ever been about that. That was straightforward. And I like that. And I'm hoping, I've said before, I'm hoping that sort of implies that things are well on the way. I know there's some rumours recently about a couple of a Spanish player here or there that we might be getting. But I just think it was real fighting talk from him, which was really good. I think at the start of the season, he was a bit sort of David Brentish, a bit sort of bizarre. I used to listen to him and think, like, you're coaching like early 20-something women. They must think you're a Fruit Loop. And I think he has said that since, that he accepts they probably found him a bit weird. But I think how, like, he speaks now with a fire in his belly. He wants to win for the club, for the team, and for the fans. And also something he did yesterday is he always comes straight over. He faces up, whether it goes well or not, and he appreciates what the fans are doing. But yeah, I think they were both spot on yesterday. They said the right things with enough bite, and we know what he wants. We know what the players want. We know what we want. That's why there were 600 of us there yesterday, which is unheard of in women's football. 600 away fans. It's just up to the board now to give him what he wants, and if they don't, we can't blame him for that.
Andrew, your thoughts on that, mate? Yeah.
I agree with both the comments from Zellum and Skinner as well. I just think looking back to the start of the season, I mean, Skinner came in quite late, and then he was like, inherited the squad from Casey, so and then transfers that came quite late as well. So it took him time to implement his philosophy and his tactics, and you could see that in some games. Like, some of the players were unsure what do we do, and then I think it was like by November, December, it was starting to click for the players. So, and I think, like you're saying about recruitment as well, I think before the start of this season we lost about 5 forwards, and so it was we didn't really secure that many replacements, so it just put a lot of pressure on the younger players like Everton and Russo, and they certainly stepped up. I mean, this season, so that experience they've had this season, they'll go on further with that for next season. And I think recruitment is going to be key in the summer. We're going to have to get in a good number of players. Obviously, I think there's going to be departures announced from United first before, any incomings come first, and then obviously we want to see who is on that contract renewal list, because there's certain players that have their contracts are coming to an end. Some of them really like them to stay, and I just think, as you said, the fire's been lit, and I think, as I said earlier, small margins have cost us. I mean, we dropped 12 points from winning positions in 6 games, but also in a number of games we've lost leads in the final stage of the game. I think City away and then Arsenal away. We were, could have won those games, and also the Villa away game as well. I mean, if we hadn't have dropped all those points, well, we would have more than finished third. We could have been challenging for the title as well. But to say, if we can, change that, get that extra advantage and make those small margins count in our favour, then next season it's going to be, I think, a good one. I think, as I said, the players left everything out then. I think I'll put it out on my Twitter that I'm so proud of this United women's team, and hopefully we'll be achieving a lot of success in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Bobby, your thoughts on this? You can see what Marty thinks. We won't be a team to be reckoned with until we can close out matches. I think that's a fair comment. I do. But do you think we'll be a team to be reckoned with next season?
I mean, it is a fair comment. Of course, it's a fair comment. But it's not Hogwarts. It's LSV. We can't just wave a magic wand and it's going to happen all of a sudden. It requires, a lot of work to be done, both from the training field. And I'm sure I'm going to go to war now for Skinner, because you know what? I like his little cheerful face, bless him. I do. I can't help it. I've got the Ollie feels about him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But every time he comes over, I just want to give him a little hug. And, I don't really care who knows it. That's how I feel. And he gets the hugs. I wanted a hug. But there we go. Listen, Mark Skinner came in at the end of July, if I'm not mistaken, by which point most signings had already been made. We had loads of players gone. We were in the Olympics. So we didn't get a proper pre-season. None of that happened. So he came in, and let's be absolutely clear, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And nobody thought he was going to do anything particularly spectacular. And, he had his up and downs, don't get me wrong. He's had to win a lot of people over, and myself included. No, I didn't just give him blind support. Then we take a look at what he did in January, and fair play to the geezer, he brings in some fantastic players. One of which, Sina Brune, we didn't get to see enough of because she was injured. Then, of course, there was Jade Moore, was injured. And then we had Diane Caldwell, which was a really good one, but yeah, she kind of ended up injured as well. So actually, he managed to achieve everything that he wanted to achieve as he could with players, with a centre-back partnership that ended up being Hayley Ladd, who was superb, but is not the defender that we would be expecting. So, I think, number one, we need to give him credit for what he's achieved based on everything that's gone on. And number two, you can't doubt his fire, his own fire. He's literally put his neck on the chopping line, hasn't he? Because he said, we're not gonna rest until we win something, until we're the champions of something. I don't know what that could be. Maybe we'll organise our own pre-season friendly tournament. We'll win that. And that would be champions of something. But listen, I've got all the time in the world for him. I think Katie Zellen was superb as well, with what she had to say. And I just don't get it. I don't think he did have the mindset that this was. I don't think he did. I think the only people that have had the mindset that this was the year are fans. I don't think any sensible, sane person has walked into this season going, we're going to win the league. And if you did, you've got to check yourself at the door. You've got to, because that's mad. How can you go in there thinking you're going to win based on the end of season turmoil that we had with Casey Stoney and COVID and everything else that's going on? This season, the one that's coming up, I think you've got more of a right to potentially imagine that when you consider everything that's gone on. But last season, no. So I suppose in the headline, Skinner rules.
Ellie, when you hear Skinner talk, what do you think of? Because obviously, I think a lot of people on this whole channel now like hearing him talk. You know, does it make you smile when you see how animated he is and how direct he is and some of the things he comes out with, because he's completely different to the way he used
honestly,
to be.
it really does. It melts my heart. It really does. Because, like yesterday, even when we lose, look at him. He literally came over to us all. And, like, if you wanted to speak to him a minute about the match, he's always there. Or if you want to say something about how good it's been, how bad it's been, he's there for it all. And I seen him yesterday, all these little girls and boys, and they gave him a high five and hug and all that. Even I did, no. So it's just amazing. Even when Nat has the words with him, he's always there to listen, and he's always there to try and improve. I think he really has been amazing manager. Some people have given him stick like, "Oh, you could have done done your subs better, this and that." But that's what I mean. It's not just him; it's a whole team together. It's a whole team together. I mean, just one little thing that I didn't really approve of yesterday is taking Jackie off. Why did he take Jackie off? That is one thing that I just didn't like about yesterday. Other than that,
he did explain that. He did explain why he did it. The thing is that people don't like to. They don't like to listen to it because it doesn't fit in with what we think as fans, which is what I said the other day. And that's fine because we've all got opinions. But, I mean, let's not pretend that if Jackie was on, we were going to go on and win 4-2. I don't think that was necessarily the case. She was very good. She played really well. But do you not think also, doing a bit of a Connor now, let's play a devil's advocate, if he hadn't have made a change and we still had 10 minutes to go, whilst 4-2 down, would there not now be people here going, why didn't he make any changes with 10 minutes to go? This Skinner, he never makes up.
Exactly what I mean.
You can't win.
No, you can't win either way, can you? You really can't.
It's so hard.
That's what I mean.
Bloody fans, what's wrong with you?
And I can say Zell as well. Zell actually appreciated the goal in that interview.
Someone's got to talk about what's going on there. Okay, so I'm
I think we were momentarily taken over by the devil.
Yeah, Charlie, I know you're listening, but that was coming from yours because I muted yours now and it's okay. Yeah, so it's okay, Charlie. I've muted you for the time being. It took a couple of minutes to find out whose it was. But Ellie's coming back in. Bless her, she probably thought it was her own. The thing is, I wanted Charlie to go through some of the stats as well because she's got a few stats in there from the game. Sorry, people in the comments. John, just mute everyone. I did mute everyone. I like to mute everyone individually. Charlie, if I just sorted out a microphone, we can bring Charlie back in shortly. But Andrew, just come to yourself. Charlie's going to start reading out a few stats shortly about the game. Kind of mentioned it earlier. Chelsea only had 4 shots and they scored pretty much every one of them. I think that's just been the difference throughout the season. You know, they've been clinical and they took their chances where I guess we didn't.
Yeah, so well, that's the quality Chelsea showed in that second half. Well, they knew they had to come out, and you know, if they didn't, then they would be not the ones there celebrating winning that league title. I mean, let's say, I think we had about 4 or 5 shots on target, but obviously we only scored 2 from them. But I just think, that's where United need to be. Like next season, like when we get in those chances, I just think like back to the Villa away game. I think in that first 10 minutes we had about 3 chances, and if we'd have took those chances and been clinical, then you never know who might have been in that third spot. I don't know, but it's when we do, let's say, I think that's one area that Skinner will. I think he said, I've identified areas where we need to improve, and I think that'll be one area. Be like going through pre-season as well, which I think he'll definitely benefit from having a full pre-season. Whereas, you know, when he first came in, he had literally next to nothing. It was all squeezed in for him. So I think proper pre-season, good recruitment, and I think the quality of this United team is just going to go to another level, and have, as I say, with City and Arsenal and Chelsea, as I say, I think somebody said it, we're there to upset the apple cart. So nobody really wants us in there, but we're going to be the ones breaking that top 3 hold and saying we're here and we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Charlie, we're going to try you again. It looks like it's okay now. You've unmuted yourself, so it looks okay.
Right.
But yeah, no problem. You've got your got some stats in front of you from the game. If you just like read out what you've got, give your thoughts on it, and then Barry and then Ellie just kind of give your thoughts on those stats, because I think they're really impressive considering we was away against top of the league, a team who was actually fighting for the actual title.
A couple of things that stood out were, I think I said before, we out-possessioned Chelsea at Kings Meadow. I think we had 54% possession. I know people might pile onto that and go, we had 54% possession, you didn't do anything with it. But the fact is we kept the ball away from a team, but the majority of the ball against a team that are notorious for keeping hold of it and not letting the other team have a sniff. And the second thing is, I think Connor mentioned it in the comments, which is a bit quirky because I'd also written it down, is that Chelsea had 4 shots and scored them all. I'm not laughing because it's funny, it's just ridiculous. And we had 5. So we had more shots on target. The difference is they scored all 4. But again, we've talked about, haven't we, about being clinical and being shaky at the back at times, which was the difference maker. But the big one, the one that impressed me was the possession. Again, I know we didn't win, but we clearly kept the ball quite well against them, and it would have been most of the first half. But I think that there are a couple of positives. That's a positive to take away. Because I think historically against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and City, we've had little of the ball when we've played them, and that's maybe a sign of Skinner's style of play, is that he wants to play possession based and keep hold of the ball and look after it and knock it around. Is Barry laughing because it's gone all Devil's Conjuring again? Yeah,
I've just muted. I'll do it on purpose just to make sure it was definitely you. I'm going to try it again. 1 second. Yeah, it looks like we've lost Charlie at the moment, so I don't know if she's going to try and do something again. But Charlie was just about to go through some stats, and she did go through a few. But I think the stats basically just showed that we actually gave a good account of ourselves. And I think for the last game of the season, as United fans who travelled all that way, got up mega early. Not that means anything. It doesn't matter how far you travel, but they definitely put on a good account of themselves. For our last game of the season.
I was going to just say that. Sorry.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It just felt like more of a win, even though we lost. But it felt like a win, to be honest.
Yeah, I was thinking the effort and determination from the first minute to 90 minutes. I almost want to that video of that game showed the men's team who lost to Brighton away on Saturday. Say that's the effort you put in, even though I just think there was just. As I said, I'm so proud of that team. I'm just thinking, even when we was 4-2 down, it was like we weren't giving up. So it was like we're still trying to make a game of this. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to come in there, Barry?
You caught me mid-chew. I've been doing so well.
He's doing his Law once again. He's doing his Law once.
It's all happening on Tonight Show.
Okay. Listen, superb stats. 54% is pretty good. But I don't want to be that guy that talks about shots on target and the 14 and 16% again. But it just goes to show, as far as Chelsea go, that's one of the differences. They're so good at converting the chances they have. I'd be interested to know how many shots they had in total, actually. So I might have a little look for that. But if they had, the percentage again that I would imagine that they've got, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that they can do that. So, it's that clinicality that we need. If we'd have had a similar sort of ratio, then it would have been a draw. I think I agree with Ellie, really. It did feel like a win insofar as I didn't walk away from that match feeling anything other then just sorry, really. Just sorry that the season didn't give the girls as much as I think they deserve for the effort that I've seen, even if not necessarily the results. You know, the results are our fault. We own the results. That's what we did as a club. So we deserve to be where we are. But I think in terms of effort, you know, it's just hard watching a team play incredibly well and not get any reward for it. So that's the bit for me. And yes, he did, TJ.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was eating. Go on, Ellie. Before I try and bring Charlie back in, what was you going to say, sorry?
Oh, so I think I said it actually. I don't know.
Let's see if Charlie's back with us. You're there on an image. Are you there? Are you there, Charlie?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Best one ever. Yeah, go on. Just finish off with what you was originally started, Charlie, mate. Oh,
What, me?
Yeah, go on, mate.
Oh,
I'm just halfway through something when I had.
This is when it's live. That was it, really. Yeah, just talking about possession stats being really positive, and just not being clinical in front of goal. Unlike Chelsea, you had 4 shots on target and scored. So there's the difference when you have world-class striker on your books.
I do want to ask one more question, and we'll go around. And I know what everyone's answer is on this show, because you're all realists and you're all sensible and you all actually support our club, you support our players, you support our manager. Hence why you're on the channel. But when you look back at this now, you do see things on Twitter, you do see things on the odd comments. I see the odd tweet here and there, and it makes me think that they're not even proud of our girls this season or our manager this season. So I just want to ask you guys, and like I said, I know what the answer is going to be, but it's the end of the season. You know, I guess, are you proud of our women's team this season? And you know, what's made you proud of them? All this kind of stuff. So I'll start off for yourself, Barry. You're right next to me now. You managed to work yourself at the top of the screen throughout the show.
Back where I belong. Back on top.
Top centre. But yeah, talk to me about how proud you are of this team this season, mate.
How proud am I? I am prouder than a father that gives his daughter away and their hand in marriage. That's how proud I am, because they've blown me away every single step of it. You know, I turned up for that game against Leicester where we won 3-1, not really expecting to do much other than just enjoy spending a day out with my friend and enjoy watching a football match. And I came away from there with a real yearning, actually, to go and see them again. And, you know, they've converted me from that to definitely having, you know, a season ticket next year in the right area, so I don't have to worry about trying to transfer tickets and all that sort of jazz. And, you know, to the point where I will happily follow them home and away anytime we possibly can. And I think that in all seriousness, that's just a measure of it all. I saw Gareth put something on his Twitter about FC United, I think, women, more than anything, saying how fully invested he was emotionally. And I've said it before, the thing that makes football great at whatever level you go to is being emotionally invested in it. If you're not emotionally invested in it, then it's not hard to sit there behind your PC screen and just sort of tweet complete rubbish about how the women's game's being forced on you and you don't want to watch it because you're not emotionally invested. The minute you take a moment just to get your head out of the orifice that it appears to have been placed and just take a look at what's on offer, you can't feel anything other than proud. And I'll include with that Stevenage, if I can just give those that brief shout out. From the time that I've spent watching them, Stourbridge, I only watched one match of that. The quality of football that you see is brilliant when you are emotionally invested in it. And it's as simple as that. Why do we all still watch Man United men? It's not because the quality of football is anything fantastic. It's because we're emotionally invested. I was so emotionally invested that I nearly threw something through the telly on Saturday. I was a very angry man. So I am proud, ultimately. I can't really articulate it properly. And so I'm waffling. But I just love them. I think they're brilliant, and I just want them to get everything that they deserve. And I think that's why I feel like a father giving their girl away, because that's what you want, isn't it? You want them to be successful.
Yeah. I think you articulated it quite well there, Barry.
Thanks.
Ellie? No problem, mate. Ellie, how proud are you of this team? I know that you've done something a little special for them as well. When you gave them that notebook with everyone's words in there as well. Obviously, they've touched your heart this season. But how proud of you of the women's team, Ellie?
Oh, I don't know what. I am beyond proud of them all. Like, I only came in at half a season, I think it was. I think literally, do you know I only came for a game to see how they was, to see how they played. And now next season I've got a season ticket. I think that just shows it all.
Mm-hmm.
They really took my eye this season. All the girls. It's like even when they lose, you can see them still. Look at how much they are or amazing they are with the fans. They absolutely love us all. I think that's what motivates them. Because even when we lose games, you can see how we still chant for them. We don't just stand there quiet. Even after yesterday, we still sang our arse out to them. And I think I heard the other day about if it grows more and more, maybe they might get a bit distant from us. But to be truthful, I really don't see they won't. I don't think, because they've got that attachment with us. I think now, like we're their family really at that 12th man in every game. And I think I've just loved being able to meet them and speak to them and even hug them as well. So they've actually, I like even Mark. Mark's amazing. He really is. Like, I think I even spoke to him about doing my football, and I think it was last week. He came up to me and said, "Are you still doing your football?" And he was like, "We're all so proud of you." And I think that's what motivates you the most when you hear players saying it to you. We play the game, or we manages it. I'm not even cringe for saying it, but I think they've really been my heroes this year. They're an excellent bunch of women. They really are. And obviously, it's going to be sad seeing some go, and some of it really is, because you get that attachment to them, I think, and that bond you create with them. So if some of them go, then obviously it's going to be really emotional. But I think we need to bring new players in, so then we can go above and beyond next season. But honestly, I'm so proud of this group this season.
Andy, your first season coming to the games, watching the women's team. Obviously, you're emotionally connected pretty much as from day one, weren't you? How proud are you of this team this season?
Yeah, so proud. I remember watching it at the start of the season. Well, I was watching the Reading game on TV, and then it was like the Birmingham away. You said, "Oh, come to that one." I was like, literally saw them live once, and I thought, I've got to get a season ticket. And then I just, like I say, every time you see them go out on the pitch, they're giving 100% effort. And even when, like, I'll say I've got a season ticket for the men's, and even when they've not been playing well, it's the women's team that have lifted my spirits up on the Sunday when they've played. And I mean, it's been such a season of progress. As I said earlier, yeah, it would have been nice to get third in the Champions League, but I was just thinking the progress we made doesn't mean we're going to be settling for fourth place in the future, or that we don't want Champions League football. That's our ambition, and obviously to win the WSL at some point. So I feel like this season's been so positive all round. And I think with a good pre-season and good recruitment, then we've definitely got a good chance next season to really push that top three.
Yeah. And Charlie, just finish off for yourself, mate. You're standing next to us pretty much at every game now. We met through this, this season as well. You keep going back to the games, home and away. Bring your family with you at points as well. How pleased and how happy are you with this side this year?
Oh, it's been amazing. Like it's been a phenomenal season to experience as a fan, to watch the players at home and away, and the people that you watch them with. Like, that doesn't. We're all saying how positive it is. That doesn't mean we haven't been disappointed at times in the season. It doesn't mean there's been times when it's difficult, but that's because it matters. Like if we're all going there just with a flask and a picnic and not paying attention, then you won't be bothered. But like I said, that those disappointments doesn't mean we can't be proud of what they've achieved. I think it's really easy to look at the negative side of everything all the time. What we did wrong, what we need to do, we should have this, we should have that. But I think there's so much positivity that comes through this team, that shines through the players, that comes through from the manager and the coaching staff. And Andrew's right. That team have done nothing wrong really this year. They've gone out and they've worked hard and they've left everything out there every single week. And you don't always see that from football teams, particularly the ones where they pay a lot more in the men's side. So they've been phenomenal. And I don't regret a moment of it. I already miss it. Like, it's not even been a week and I already miss going to watch them, knowing that it's going to be a few months before it happens again. But I think Andrew's right. We've just got to hope for a good, at least like-for-like replacement of people that go, and then better players than those that have gone to then come back in and boost the starting lineup, and then we go again.
Well, this is what I mean. You need to support your club through even when they lose, and this is what we've done it all season, because we got beat by City and Chelsea, even Arsenal and Pie, and I think it's good that we've stuck by them every step of the way, because sometimes you get some of our fans, not naming anyone, I'm not, but you get some of them at games. Yesterday there was like, oh, why didn't we do that? Why didn't we do that? But then sometimes I feel like turning around and said, just watch the game and be proud of it, what we've achieved.
Well said, Ellie. Yeah.
That's what we need. Don't forget, we're still a young squad. We're only going to get better each season. So.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, yeah. This is obviously at the end of the season, last match reaction show, but we will still be doing shows, like I say, 4 to 5 days a week. I mentioned that at the start of the show as well. But I would obviously like to say thank you to everybody in the comments. I know a lot of you have been with us even before the start of the season, and some of you have joined since. We've got Josh in the comments, who I've met just literally about a month ago. Andrew's smiling because obviously Andrew's met Josh as well. Obviously, it's the end of the season at WSL, but at All for United, we are Man United fans who are looking at growing women's game as well. So it's not just Man United content that we do on the channel. We do look at the whole pyramid, and obviously we do shows about other leagues as well. We've had plenty of guests on talking about the Swedish leagues, the American leagues, and all this kind of stuff. Barry mentioned it earlier, and we all mentioned it as well, about being emotionally invested. Barry is obviously close to the Stevenage crew now, when we got Matt and Gareth, who are close to the FC United crew. Me and Andrew yesterday just want to shout out my local team, Stourbridge. Anybody who follows me on Twitter will know that I shout out Stourbridge as well. I think they thoroughly deserve it. And just wanted to congratulate them for getting promotion yesterday. That's back-to-back promotions now. So not only have they been promoted last season, they've come directly into Tier 5, got promoted again, so they'll be in Tier 4 next season with the likes of Donny Bells, amazing, Solihull Moors. So if you know your women's football pyramid, that's an amazing achievement to go into that league. So I just wanted to congratulate them, and also thank them for welcoming me and Andrew and Josh in the comments, and Connor into their home pretty much every Sunday night when we have a bit of a drink with them. So yeah, just a massive shout out to Andy Fisher and the chairman and all the directors and volunteers who work so hard there, who don't get paid anything similar to the WSL players and staff. So just a massive congratulations to them as well. We have got shows lined up throughout the rest of the week. Thursday, we will be back on Thursday, and Friday Night Fans Forum as well. Saturday Night Live as usual. And then we'll see what we do on Sunday. With it being match day content, we might be doing something a little bit different there. But thank you to everybody on the show for participating. Sorry about the volume there. It went a bit crackly at one point. It does happen. But we got through it. And thank you to everybody in the comments. And stay tuned throughout the summer. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.